Happy National Ag Day. We were celebrating for the farmers and ranchers in the United States of America, and thanks to the farmers bring food to us. Happy birthday to my sister Michelle Carina Delgado also. Today is edition of Back Roads of Illinois. We were bringing you lasted for farming sources and information sponsored by AgriGold. We were glad you're here on a Tuesday afternoon. I am Cesar Delgado. I am your host of today's program. We were talking about the commodities markets with Jacob Burks from agmarkets.net. Otherwise, this is your rural news sponsored by AgriGold. This week is going to be a deadline for crop insurance by March 15th. However, you still get some crop insurance through your local agency in your area. CPI is down for last week from the Federal Reserve, but some economists are concerned about the economy with the trade deficit, inflation, and the stock markets for right now. Finally, National Corn Growers Association is in Washington, D.C. take part of advice to lawmakers from the Farm Bill and 45Z guidance line. This will be the commodity group is concerned about the farm economy with the commodities trade deficit. This been your rural news for this afternoon. This is your commodities markets for this afternoon, sponsored by Kyle Bumstead from Allendale Incorporated. Corn and beans prices are under pressure on today. May corn is down at 3 to 5 cents. July corn is down at 3 to 6 cents. September corn is down at 3 to 6 cents. May beans are down at 5 to 10 cents. July beans are down at 5 to 10 cents. August beans are down at 5 to 4 cents. Wheat futures is down for today. Chicago May wheat is down at 3 to 5 cents. Chicago September wheat is down at 9 to 6 cents. Looking at the cattle markets for today, April cattle is down at 3 to 6 cents. June cattle is down at 3 to 5 cents. August cattle is down at 5 to 10 cents. May feeder is down at 3 to 6 cents. July feeder cattle is down at 3 to 4 cents. October cattle is down at 3 to 5 cents. Lean hogs in the red as well. April hogs is down at 3 to 4 cents. June hogs is down at 3 to 6 cents. Cash cattle is down at 5 to 10 cents. Cash cattle weights is 205. 30 for ask prices. Cash hogs markets are down for today. Cash hogs weights is down for Iowa and Minnesota markets. This been your commodities markets update for this afternoon. The following with the commodities markets with the tariffs for another day and the commodity prices for right now. Here's now with Jacob Burks from agmarkets.net. How are you in Wisconsin?
I'm very good. It's been a abnormally warm week here. Sounds like we're going to be getting some snow coming up here pretty soon. Weather should be changing back to winter before it gets ready again for spring.
Welcome to the Midwest.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry about that, Mark. I am ready now. Could you tell us what's news about the fundamental on the grains markets for this week?
Absolutely. So the grain markets have undercome a little bit of pressure here this week. We saw the wheat start off the week yesterday on a tear, and a lot of the weather, the wind and dryness that has come across the Great Plains region really got the market started off in a very friendly pattern. But just the weight of the bean market alone, some of the products of the bean market. We saw the NOPA crush number come out. We crushed a little bit less, even though we crushed a little bit less soybeans domestically. The number of stocks, the amount of oil and the amount of meal that we had rose. So that just means that we're not moving the products as fast. So that was a little bit of a damper onto the marketplace. Corn, you're seeing the spreads act a little bit different than we had before. When the idea was the market came back and then they started potentially taking some tariffs off, or maybe we're going to kick the can down the road till April 2nd. That's whenever the spread started rallying a little bit in the front months. And so we saw the July, the old crop corn, overcome the deferred new crop corn. So this week we've seen just the opposite. We're coming back down in that spread. That spread between like July and D's is now trading around 13 or 14 cents. So this week so far, we've had a mixed bag. It's been back and forth in the grain market.
Do you still see the technical side in the beans markets for this week?
Yeah, I think technically you've seen if you go back and look at the charts just the last couple of weeks, and specifically in the old crop beans, it's really just seen a lot of consolidation. 2 weeks in a row we've seen the market have some dramatic moves up and down. But if you drew a line right in the middle of that range we put in for 2 weeks, that's where we're at. We went up today. We've tested twice in a row. We've tested the 50-day moving average, went up there, found some resistance, backed off, and just relatively a quiet day. A 3 cent trading range in the with the volatility that we've seen is really not a big day here. We didn't see a lot of movement, and inevitably, I think the market is just looking for some information.
How is the reflection on the beans markets for profit taking for these tariffs?
I think the fear is right now that the bean market. When you look at tariffs, you see Canada, you see Mexico involved. There's a lot of questions there. What's going to happen in the next couple of days? Next couple of weeks here, with what actually sticks. There's been a lot of tariff numbers thrown around, and it sounds like on April 2nd we'll figure out, hey, what's going to stick around. The deal with the beans, though, feels a little bit more solid. That's a tariff that's going on, and the biggest buyer of our beans is China. And whenever we're looking at the a trade war with China and the tariffs that have been implemented and the tariffs that will be added back on in April, that is really a deterrent for them to come and buy our soybeans. So, what I feel like these tariffs have an opportunity, especially the ones Canada, Mexico that we've dealt with, have an opportunity to come back off. But the ones in China feel like they have a little bit more opportunity to stick. China has prepared for this. China has done a lot of investing into South America. Their goal is to not have to buy any beans from us. And I think if they can continue, if they can out strengthen out and live through the other tariffs that are going to be pushed on us and are pushed on them and their economy, if they can survive that and they can still continue to buy the agriculture goods from Brazil and other places that they have relationships with, I think they will continue to do so.
How is the beans yields trends in Brazil for right now for China?
So, that's something I looked at. I've never really looked into that a whole lot. In certain, these early harvest numbers that we were seeing come out, even a month ago, started doing the math and realizing, hey, these yields that they're pushing down there are good. I'm no agronomist, and so I don't do a lot of looking into the soil and looking at different agronomy practices that they have down there. But when you're looking at what the production has been, you're looking at areas that can produce beans as good or better than some of the upper areas in the Midwest.
True. What is your thoughts on the cattle markets with these cattle trend?
It's been one of the most impressive markets I've ever been involved with, Caesar. The fear has been since the market started making strong moves higher. And I say strong move higher, I mean we've been in an area for months now that uh we known that there's less cattle out there. We've known that the demand or the supply of beef has been uh you know I guess questionable as far as what's coming down the road, because there's always a shorter supply. They're not killing as many cull cows. The dairy cows are not getting there. The beef supply has actually kept up with a pretty good pace due to other things, due to the dairy beef cross, due to some imported cattle, and just plain old heavier weights. So the supply of beef has kept up with the lack of cattle that has been coming, that been available. But the biggest question has been demand. How is the consumer going to continue to pay for this? And from a fundamental standpoint, it's been extremely impressive that the demand has just continued to stay there while these box beef prices have been consistently over, $300 a pound. And I just it's just, yeah, just been very impressive, Caesar.
How is the Packers bids for this week?
So, it looked like they were coming into the week going to be, $4 or $5 higher in the South. Last week we traded, upwards of 2.5, 2.10, I believe, in the North or in the Midwest. So it's been extremely impressive. I have not seen any bids this week. I was looking here just recently to see what they were doing here locally, and we're seeing about 2 to 3 hires so far on some bids. Not much has traded yet. The kills have been backed off a little bit. I think we might end up having to wait till later this week before we start seeing some actual cash movement. But again, I don't see that coming off. I don't think there's any reason right now that these Packers are going to be able to avoid not being aggressive up there and paying upwards of 210, 211 up here in the north before they're able to get these guys to shake up any or be able to let go of any of the cattle. I think these guys have done a pretty good job of being patient and not diving after some of these prices quickly. And I think that the Packer will end up having to bid up again this week.
Do you have any final thoughts on the corn yield on the planting intention report?
Yeah, we as a group have spent some time discussing this. We've actually, put out a little survey to some of our customers. We've been out in the country most of the winter doing, meetings and talking with producers. It's been very impressive with us of how many people that we're talking about planting left less acres of beans, more acres of corn. I don't think there's anybody rushing out there to change, in a drastic way that I've talked to. Some of our guys in the Dakotas, some of our guys that was out east, this recently, they have heard some of those stories where guys said, "Hey, you know what? I've taken the steps to produce, more corn on corn than I ever have, making some dramatic change." So our company came up with something with a number that's over 95.3, as far as what we published, as far as anticipating what we see on this planning intentions report. And we all know the difference between planning intentions and the final plant number can be very different. But that's where we're at right now, that we feel like it'll be over 95 million acres.
What about soybeans acreage for your survey?
So that was, I think most of the acres that we're going to gain from corn are going to come right off the top of the soybeans. I got to look at my number here to see what we came up with. Yeah, we were below 83. We were 82.75 is what we think will come in on soybeans. Again, those will change. Those will change. Those are intentions that we have, and I think that could be, that's a little bit less beans and a little bit more corn than what we saw. Actually, yeah, a little bit more corn than what we saw 2 years ago. So we feel like it's going to be a close race and look a lot like what we saw last 2 years.
Thanks, Jacob. I bet your Razorback is getting ready for the spring games.
Man, I'm glad you said that, Caesar. I'm a big Razorback fan, so we're ready to call the Hogs. And yeah, luckily we made the tournament, and so maybe old Calipari can get us going.
How about Wisconsin?
So that's the best part about having two teams, Caesar. I always got two teams to root for. So if one goes out, and at least Arkansas and Wisconsin have the same colors, so I can be rooting for both of them secretly. You never know which one I'm rooting for the most. Hopefully they don't have to play each other.
I root for Illinois.
You and Matt Bennett can be on the same team. He's a big Illinois fan.
Go ahead. This is Jacob Burks from agmarkets.net on back roads of Illinois. Thanks to Jacob Burks from agmarkets.net. This been back roads of Illinois. I am Cesar Delgado.